And away we go. It's the Nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. www.galacticfriedchicken.com for everything Galactic, including delivery right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or you can head down and see our friends in Dayton, Kentucky, Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% off of your order. All right, let's get this show on the road. What's going on, Aaron?
Yo, we didn't have any 4 a.m. commitments last night, so
No, we did have Chad's daughter up at 4 a.m. in the middle of the night getting sick and going to the doctor today and having strep throat. So great. That's just great. So if at any point you don't see me for a couple days, you now know what happened.
better you than me, only because if one gets it, they all get it. And my God, I don't want an entire house full of strep.
Fortunately, I can isolate my one to her room until the antibiotics start working. When you got 3, that ain't how it works. Somebody always needs something. That's why I only had 1.
They all always need mom. That's the constant.
Yeah, I am mom. So
I know.
And dad.
I know.
So yeah. All right, let's get this show on the road. A lot to get to today. So we'll move you over into the driver's seat. We'll warm you up for your hosting gig on George of the Jungle tonight. Special guest Solomon Wilcox this evening.
Yeah, first time with Solomon that I've been speaking with him, so I'm pretty excited about that. He's a kind of big deal with all of the years of CBS and
He's been in the media
NFL
for a
Network.
long time.
Yeah, CBS, NFL Network, and I think he's got something going on now on Bally, and just that is a busy man.
Yep.
In his post NFL career, but let's get ahead with this one. There's been articles by both Dennis Dodd and Pete Thamel with Dan Murphy on ESPN and Yahoo, respectively, not in that order. But essentially, the NCAA is trying to settle the NIL antitrust case because if they don't settle,
they're trying to settle one part of it. The NIL antitrust case has it's like Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. There's 3 parts of it, and they're trying to settle the Christmas future part so they don't get in trouble for things that haven't happened yet. But there would still be, at least this would kind of set a rate for what they owe in all the years that these giant TV contracts were making the schools shit tons of money, and they weren't paying the employment, the workforce.
And what it really comes down to is the fact that none of these schools can afford to pay. None of them have anything budgeted currently to pay anybody. And we're all too familiar with them spending every last penny of their budgets.
That was part of the racket. We've talked about that before. That was how the money laundering system worked. Is you had to cry broke every year, because if you were making money, then people were going to want that money that wasn't being spent. Oh, well, you made $40 million last year and you only used 30 of it. We would like that 10. And they couldn't have that.
Right.
Hard eye roll.
So this has become a situation where essentially they are being advised that they are probably going to lose. So they're trying to get, shocker, I know, because
you don't say
things have not been faring well for the NCAA in legitimately any case that they've been in court with. But they want to, the plan that the Power 4 schools have been getting together. They met in Dallas, which I guess they were at the Airport Hyatt, the DFW Airport
I think that's where
Hyatt.
they usually have those meetings.
And I guess that they had just had their meetings for the college football playoff there, so they just decided to meet back at the same place. That all said, they're essentially wanting to set the bar at $20 million annually for your college athletes. You cannot spend more than that, but you are apparently allowed to spend less than that, which I don't know how that really works, because I feel like that is essentially setting you up for failure, to where you're going
Good
to
luck
run
to the
into
schools
this.
that do that.
You're running into the same exact issue that you had before. If you don't pay a kid what a court of law would deem that they are worth, they're really just trying to avoid at all costs making these kids gainfully employed.
So here's the funny thing about that. You know what will happen if this goes through as you just currently presented? Is that it's arbitrary. It was not collectively bargained. And it will go to court and lose. If you try to say we're only sharing 20 million, in a year, a couple years, the SEC and the Big Ten schools are going to bring home $100 million a year. And they're going to arbitrarily set aside 20% for the workforce. Oh, how big of you? How big of you to well, very, very generous. How generous could you possibly be to set aside 20% from your labor force?
It also begs the question as to how you're going to divide this up amongst the athletes, because I would imagine that this, as it's being presented, would supersede Title IX, which gets you into a entirely different ball of wax.
And another lawsuit.
And you would run into, are the schools going to be buying out the NIL? Are you still going to have NIL? Who knows what NIL even looks like in this post era? But I feel like this is essentially a band-aid. Like this is putting tape over the leak, right? Like duct tape over the leak. Yeah. You're still going to have a leak. You just right now just put a band-aid on it.
Yeah. So this is being masterminded, of course.
Shocker.
By the two overlords of college sports now, since the NCAA has granted them basically full autonomy to do whatever the hell they want. The Big Ten and the SEC are behind this. Make no mistake, they are out in front of revenue sharing, because you know what they have? They have the most revenue.
Big TV.
So whatever they want to do, they will be able to set it at a bar that the others can't match.
Well, the ACC would be in shambles.
Yeah, of course. So that's kind of their whole thought process on this is nobody's going to be able to keep up. We will continue to distance ourselves from the pack because you know where the best players are going to go? They're going to go to the places that have the most money. That's sports 101. That's life 101. Wherever, if I'm looking at the same job, more often than not, I'm picking the place where the money is greater. If all other things are equal. So yeah, of course, this is the Big Ten and the SEC trying to control the future of college sports, but they also, their greed will never allow them to do what is right as opposed to what is best for their pocketbook.
I feel like the further down the line we continue to get with these types of articles, with this type of reporting, the death knell for the Olympic sports is looming.
Yeah.
Every day we're one step closer to those sports being nothing but club sports, if that.
No, there will definitely be at some point a shift to a more club sports system that will ultimately allow them to get back to being regional and, being what club sports or Olympic sports we're supposed to kind of be about at the college level. But it's going to be without, look, what do we keep talking about? It's greed. It's money. So if all of a sudden a chunk of the money that they were going to get is going into a different pot, then they're going to put a lid on other pots that were cashing at the bottom of the rainbow.
Yeah.
And the most simple way to do that is eliminating Olympic sports. And
get out of the budget.
Guess what? It's not in the budget, and you're also not paying the players.
It blows my mind. Is that
2 birds, 1 stone?
It blows my mind that the way to actually fix all of this and evade Title IX probably entirely is make them all employees.
Right. But they have no desire to do that.
Well, because then the employees would unionize and fight the man. And
well, not only that, but if they're employees, they have rights. They have, there are benefits.
You wouldn't run into a Colorado where they can just bring people in and tell them to get out.
No, you still would. States have at-will employment laws.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but I'm assuming Dion would go to the Colorado legislature and get that changed if he had to. That's what they do now. That's what college, it's what college sports do now. I don't know how you avoid I don't know how you avoid a players' union and collective bargaining. That's the only way you're going to ever make the lawsuit stop, is if the two sides have equal representation and collectively bargain the details. And until then, we're just going to get a bunch of Band-Aids, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's inevitable. That's the only way. That's the only fix at the end of the rainbow, is for the players to have equal voice as the universities, where they come and meet in the middle on terms. That's how sports work. That's how leagues work. Does it mean the end of college sports as we know it? Yes. Because they will no longer lie to you about the mission. The mission has been the mission since like the 90s. Make as much money. Yeah. Well, but the TV money wasn't really what it is now until we got into the early 2000s. Like there was money in ticket sales and all of that stuff, but they weren't just, doing the Scrooge McDuck dive into a pool of money.
I thought what I said 1890, as in
I know
the mission was supposed to be about the student athlete, and that got lost a long time ago.
Yeah, but things definitely changed when all of a sudden there were a lot more zeros involved in the day-to-day war machine that is college athletics.
I don't know. I feel like you have entirely too many old heads sitting at this table that simply refuse to be told no. And if you just had some people who were able to try and find some place close to the middle, you can still come out ahead. But
right.
If you would just get out of your own way, which has been the problem for years now.
Yeah. Well, I think the reality of that, Aaron, we stay away from politics, but this is very similar to politics. The people in charge are the people that have been in charge for a long time. And those people have believed for a long time their way is the only way. So they do not want to budge from college athletes cannot be professionals, which is ridiculous, because you know what you're allowed to do when you're a professional? You're allowed to go to college. Like, nobody's stopping you.
People do it all the time.
Right. Like, you know what we celebrate all the time, Aaron? We celebrate guys that left college early went and became professionals and got their degree while they were professionals.
Sauce just did it.
And there was a big Travis Kelce. It's a big deal about it. I mean, you've seen it throughout time. Guys come back, get their degree. They're professionals when they do that. There's nothing that says you can't be a professional while in college. They'll say that they did it to kind of protect amateurism in the Olympic model. It's like the Olympic model, but guess what? The Olympic model changed like 30 fucking years ago.
Yeah, in our lifetime.
It's baby steps. I get it. The frustrating part is we can't just we got to read this whole stupid book before we get to the end of it. And it's the dumbest book I've ever read.
Yep. The worst part is we all know the ending.
Right. I did the Cliffs Notes. I saw the end of the book. But I still have to give a damn report in class on every chapter.
You read the back of the book in the last page and already knew.
But that might be one of my better analogies. That's what all of this is. It's just it's one of those thick-ass, big, stupid books that you had to read when you were younger. And you knew what the hell was going to happen at the end by pretty early in the book. And the teacher still made you read it. And we're just reading away, talking about it on this show. I mean, I'm glad it happens. It gives us, I don't know, we do what? 4 of these shows a month because there's like 4 days a month that something relevant along this path pops up.
At least.
Thanks.
During the off season, this is gold.
Right. Bring it on. We'll be talking about it all summer. That's the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!